Hi guys, so today I have with me Vivien Abioye and she's going to be sharing her story on grief.
Um, so I lost I call him my foster brother
Mhm.
early this year. I lost him early this year. It was in January, and it's like 3 months after my wedding. So I mean, it's still weird. We just woke up one Sunday morning. I woke up to several missed calls and a message saying that he went hiking and nobody had heard from him. So we're all frantic trying to find the hiking. Besides, he went with the hiking group, so we're trying to find the hiking group that he went with, so we could ask more questions. So I first of all I talked to my sisters about it. Like all of us were aware, so I went on social media. I think okay after trying to call his number severally and leave him messages, then I went on social media to try to find the company. So I started searching for hiking groups in Abuja. Um, I was trying to see because they said he went to Nasri. We stay in Abuja, and they said he went to Nasarawa. So I was trying to look for flyers that would show. I mean, a hiking group that went to Nasarawa on that date, and that was how I actually found them. They're called the Outdoor Tribe. I went on their page, and I got a contact. So that was like the person that I now reached out to and sent his picture. I called him and he said he drowned yesterday. I'm sorry for your loss. I was like, my loss. What do you mean my loss? Like what? And he started talking about how they went hiking to, and you guys, this waterfall they went to is literally the highest in Africa. So they went to they went to a waterfall in Nasarawa, and um, they were all by the waterside. People who could swim were getting into the water to swim. This was the story I was told. They were getting into the water to swim, and then he wanted some. They said someone around him talked about swimming, and then he also, I think, took off some of his clothes and was trying to get into the water to swim. And then they said that someone asked him, "Can you swim?" And he said yes. And then he went in to swim. And the next thing they knew was that someone pointed out that if it seems this guy is in distress, because they said he wasn't struggling, or shouting or anything, but his body was in the water and his hands were up. But it was as if maybe he was in shock. And I mean, it was later I read about it being a thing that maybe some people can go into water and the freezing temperature could put their body into sort of distress where they can't move. So I'm thinking that's probably what happened to him. And so they said they tried. So when they found that out, people who could swim jumped in to try to get him out. And this is the most ridiculous part. They said every time that they pulled him out to the shallow part of the water, he went back. And they did it severally and he kept going back in. And in my head, guys, these people have videos to corroborate the story. So in my head, I'm like, someone was drowning. You're saying you pulled him out and took him, and he kept going back. Was that not enough to know that, okay, this person is not fine? And you're saying you pulled him to the shallow part. The people in the shallow part of the water were busy making videos. There are videos and pictures of this happening. They were there making videos instead of everybody trying to come together. If it was the shallow part where people who couldn't swim could stand, what stopped them from pulling him out? According to them, they tried severally, and the people who could swim started losing steam because the current was high and the water was cold. And he kept drifting away deeper and deeper. to where they couldn't reach until the water carried him. They said this incident happened around 1 ish. That was when the water carried him. And according to this story, they searched for him till 4 p.m. Till like 4. He said they searched for his body till like 4. And then they went home. They left his body there and went home that Saturday. Nobody knew. None of us knew. He used to stay in the building, one of the building, the boys' quarters. That's where he used to stay. So it was actually possible for him to come in to the house late and nobody would know. So that's how nobody knew until the next day, which was a Sunday. I mean, the first feeling I felt was anger at these people. Because when this person told me, sorry for your loss, it didn't make sense. People paid. They paid for this trip. They trusted you with their lives. You took them. You led him to his death. You went for such a trip without taking the necessary measures. There was no trained lifeguard. There was no trained lifeguard. There were no safety equipment like vests. There was nothing, and they took him there, and he died. I was just really angry. I was just really angry at how careless the whole situation, how totally unavoidable the whole how totally avoidable the whole situation was, and with indi- the I don't know, the utter casual casualness of the way he was talking about it. Oh, I'm sorry for your loss. Right now, I'm on my way there with a lifeguard to retrieve his body. I'm like, you're talking about a life, my brother's life. He drowned, and you left him to die. He actually died, drowned, and all of you went back to your homes and slept. He didn't deserve to die like that.
So after the anger, what came next in your grieving process?
I think after anger, it was disbelief. Like I was in denial for a long time. Okay, I think maybe denial before anger. Because now that I'm thinking of it, I remember me thinking that it could be everything except him being dead. Because I remember feeling like maybe his body was washed to some village and they would find him and he would come back to us. I kept, like that was before his body was found. I kept hoping that they wouldn't find the body because he would be fine and somehow we would get to see him again. So when they found the body, when we got the news on Sunday evening that they had found his body and brought it out from the water, I think that was when it hit me even more that we would never see him again, that he was actually gone. I think the permanence of it all was just. Stephen was an amazing person. He really was. I'm not even saying this because, I mean, when people die, you say some things. Stephen was an amazing person. He was so selfless. So selfless. There were a lot of us, they had so many sisters. And the way he would be there for every one of us, like you could count on him to always be there, to always show up. So it just made me feel sad that his last moments were spent struggling and alone. And I can only imagine the thoughts in his mind as the water carried him away. I can only. He died alone, and none of us could help him. And it breaks my heart so much. I wish I didn't even know. Nobody knew about the trip. He didn't tell anyone. I wish we knew. maybe would have been able to discourage him. Because I mean, the place they went to was like 6 hours away from home. So it was definitely a trip that I
Nobody
know
would have
every,
allowed.
yes, all of my sisters. I don't think anybody would have supported him going for the trip. Maybe would have found a way to stop him. So I was just angry and in denial for like the longest time. I think
I think it's still ridiculous to me that we're talking about it like he
in
was.
past tense, it
Like
doesn't
every
make
time I say this
sense.
person won, I'm just thinking, bruh, this is
In
actually
past tense,
gone.
like you can never create new memories with this person. Like every time you go through your phone, you're looking at. Sometimes I like go through our chat and I'm listening to his voice notes, and you really cannot you cannot do anything with this person anymore. And then there's the guilt. I feel like the guilt is probably the hardest part because the sad thing about death is, you know, the thing that we talked about, where you feel like your whole world has come to a stop and the world is moving on. Like that
It's
same day that
ridiculous
he
fun.
died, people are celebrating things, people are happy. They're like, no, nobody is supposed
No,
to be
yeah.
happy. So I think, yeah, and the guilt that comes from trying to move on and just do the things that as a human being you would normally do. So I mean, I remember that first week that he died, eating was always weird. It just felt I felt guilty about eating, like trying to get food to eat. I'm like, my brother is dead, like he can never eat anymore. And every time that maybe I saw something, I mean the months after he died, every time that I saw something that made me laugh, I would feel guilty for laughing. Every time something happened that made me happy, I would feel guilty for being happy because I just felt like I, I mean, I didn't deserve to be happy, or I wasn't supposed to be happy because my brother was gone.
Okay. So, are there things you wish that people didn't say to you in the time when you were grieving? And are there things you wish, "Ah, I don't want to hear this right now"?
Honestly, I really blocked out a lot of people. Most of the people that communicated to me about it, aside family and close friends, most of them were on social media.
Okay.
So
That,
to be honest, I didn't reply. I don't think I replied most of the social media messages about his loss because I don't know. I just I took some time off social media after his loss, so it was later I saw the messages and at that time.
well, okay.
Yeah,
Is there anything you feel like grief has taught you that you've learned from going through this process of grieving?
well, I think that the biggest lesson for me was to celebrate people while they're here. I think for me that was the biggest lesson I learned from this because so many times I would just wish that there were some things that we did. He really liked my oha soup and I kept telling him that I'll make for him because I was kept telling him that I'm still trying to settle in
Make a
after
lot
my
of
wedding.
promises.
Yeah, I kept telling him that, and I told him I'll make for him, and I kept pushing it. So I wish I did that for him. Um, so I wish I was there for him more. I wish I told him I loved him more. I kept wondering if he knew how much he meant to me. So, I mean, I think that was for me. That was the biggest lesson I took out of it. Like, and then also with grief, concerning grief, the lesson I would say I learned was that it's okay to it's okay to still, like, for instance, there are still days that I cry about it. So it's not a grief is not like a one-way street, like, oh, you go from this point to this point and you get to the destination. I don't think there's a destination. You would it's always going to be a journey. You will not get to the point where it's it has finally come to an end and you're no longer, let's say, grieving. So it's so be easy on yourself, and also the person in question who you've lost, your loved one who you've lost, who don't want your life to go through a downward spiral because of their death. So you should also like look out for yourself and make sure that the feelings don't drown you.
Mm, that was insightful. Thank you once again for watching yet another episode of our Grief series. I hope you do come back and watch another episode. Thank you for coming this far. And yes, I can't wait to hear your grief story. So leave a comment, leave, tell me things you've learned, um, things you enjoyed from this video. I really do hope that you enjoyed it, that this was helpful to you. Bye. Till next time.